Why are some political parties turning to the courts to resolve matters? And have political parties lost confidence in parliamentary processes? Why have both President Jacob Zuma and the DA approached the courts on the state of capture report? And what can be expected from the parliamentary inquiry into the SABC? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa replied to oral questions from Parliament today as members wrapped up business of the year before taking their Christmas break. Deputy President says the proposed minimum wage of 20 rand an hour is aimed at lifting more than 7 million people out of poverty and is a foundation for better wages. Meanwhile, the state of capture report continues to dominate headlines. This after President Jacob Zuma approached the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria to review and set aside the remedial action recommendations of the report. Madonsela had recommended the establishment of a commission of inquiry into the report. In a twist of events, though, the Democratic Alliance has filed papers in the Constitutional Court against President Zuma's bid to have the report reviewed. As Parliament goes into the Christmas break, Question Time takes a look at the 2016 highlights from Parliament. We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 0891104210. Our Twitter handle at Question Time 24. My guest today, Date Isakhomo, is the Channel Africa program producer, and from our Hatfield studios in Tshwane, Dr. Soma Figeni, who is a political analyst. Let me welcome both of you, gentlemen. Dr. Khom, let me start with you. Just give me your, top 5 of the year?
Top 5 people or top 5 issues?
In news issues.
Our president is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is number 2.
Okay.
Coming local again, I think our boy Wayne is number 3.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, I think 4, 5, I'm lost for anybody.
Okay, now I'm going to I want you to zoom into Parliament. Top 5 parliamentary issues.
Top 5 parliamentary issues, basically our president.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Nkandla was this year. Mm-hmm. And then issues, the second issues is the state capture. Well, it's just around, it revolves around that. I could not just give you straight away what were the...
So you would have mainly the top 2. Dr. Figeni, let me welcome you to the show and thank you very much for making time. What would be your top 5 issues from Parliament for 2016? Okay, I'm not so sure if he can hear us. Dr. Figeni, can you hear me? He can't hear. Okay, that's fine. We'll get back to him. Let's talk about Nkandla, for instance. You're saying, well, it was this year, but you're saying the president is your main item, you say?
Yeah. In fact, it's been the item for the last year and a half, I think. And okay. I think you cannot... He overshadows everything else that actually comes up. The different issues which come up. With Nkandla, I think it has actually set precedent to very important things. It has actually sort of enhanced democracy, and it has also drawn the lines as to the power of Parliament, the power of the executive. Yeah, that was a very important thing. It was a very important issue. And also the public protector, what she is and her powers. Those are well defined.
Okay. Let me go back to Tshwane. Dr. Figeni, I hope you can hear us this time around. I was saying thank you very much for joining us and making time to talk to us. 2016 comes to an end. What would be your top 5 issues that emerged from Parliament?
Well, I do think that most of the key issues that emerged in Parliament would have been the ones emanating from the court judgments as well as the public protector. The first one is around the Nkandla report, which was debated in Parliament. And the second one was also around the state of capture report, also debated in Parliament. I would also club together the vote of no confidence that were put in, and they were repeatedly defeated by the ANC majority. And the fourth one would be the appearances by some of the state-owned enterprises or state-owned or public entities which appeared before Parliament to reflect on some of the challenges that they are facing. And those, I think, were quite dramatic in many ways because they reveal the weaknesses of the system. So then the last one would be the kinds of events that happened around the Parliament. For example, the students marching on Parliament to make demands on no fee increase. And that in itself, I think, is worth noting because it's not only what was happening in the parliamentary chambers, but also around Parliament itself, which has become a target of protests.
Dr. Figan, would you say that the EFF has somehow gotten Parliament fashionable again? People seem to be very much interested now, and I mentioned the EFF because, I mean, the last time they were there, people were saying, okay, we're going to have some delays here and there, and thereafter when they walked out, you know, it was already flying on Twitter there. People are saying, oh no, it's going to be boring, we're going back to what we were doing.
Well, without any doubt, I think EFF had promised that no one would sleep once it gets into Parliament. In their melodramatic fashion, sometimes pushing the boundaries of what is permissible and what is not permissible, the politics of spectacle, and also the manner they branded themselves, their outfit. Without any doubt, they seem to have won the attention of the country. And most important is the fact that even at the time when the most popular soapy generation was canned for some months, people seem to be watching parliamentary channel with equal enjoyment because of what sometimes was bizarre, spectacular, dramatic manner of raising things. And that in itself, I think, it's due to EFF in the main. And the other opposition party, the DA, had to do a catch-up, even though they had the numbers. They didn't seem to have the unorthodox, unconventional style of the EFF, which was quite confrontational in many ways.
Okay, Itumeleng, you are in Pretoria. Welcome.
Thank you, Mpo.
Yes.
I've got one point.
Okay.
The International Criminal Court debate.
Okay.
You see, that one, Mpo. Because I ask myself, as South Africans, what do we stand for? I thought we stand for global peace and justice. You know, South African history tells us, if you look at South African history, tells us that John Smart, our own John Smart, General John Smart, wrote the preamble, the blueprint to the United Nations. And then the International Criminal Court is, I think, comes out of the United Nations.
Yes.
So I think we should not get out of the International Criminal Court. These people who always want to bring in colonization and imperialism, not to do what is right. We cannot follow America. If America do what is wrong, we must continue doing what is right. We cannot say America and Russia and Britain and Germany and so on and so forth, they are not there, so we also leave that. We stand for global peace, and we want to see other people in other countries having justice.
Okay, Itumeleng, thank you very much for that call. Dr. One other thing, though, the SABC. We made news both in Parliament and outside.
Well, that's what Mr. Fikeni said about the state enterprises.
Yes.
It's not only the SABC, it's also the SAA. Yeah, it's also Danel, the whole lot. Yeah, we are in the spotlight. Yeah, but I mean, unfortunately, we're in the spotlight for not really for performance, I would say performance, but parliamentarians are actually targeting the SABC for also political ends. Yeah, the whole thing has been highly politicized.
Okay, hold it there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue our discussion right here on Question Time. The numbers to dial is 089-1104-210. What made news for you this year from Parliament, that is? So please do give us a call, 089-1104-210.
It's more than a gift, it's capturing summer magic. Get a Galaxy S7 Edge in blue coral for 599 Rand per month on Smart S. Plus, a Gear VR headset or an accessory kit.
Water-wise, water is an essential need. The scarcity of it could lead to loss of many lives, including livestock, plants, and much more. It requires us to use it sparingly and responsibly in times of need, failing which our taps and sanitation will not function. For more on water and weather issues, stay tuned to News Today, every Friday at 4:45 Central African Time. SABC News, making you water-wise.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time, and you can indeed give us a call on the numbers 089-1104-210. My guest today, Tate Isaac Homo, is the Channel Africa program producer, and from our Hatfield studios, Dr. Samado Rafigani, who is a political analyst. And let's go to Ekomani. Is it Maggie? Madi? Okay, Madi is no longer there, Komani, but we would really love to hear from you there. Dr. Figeni, the amount of court visits over what we would have expected to be issues that are supposed to be ironed out either in the National Assembly or somehow politically seem to have increased.
Well, I would simply say that though Parliament has been engaging robustly, there seems to be little that is resolved because there is an impasse between the ruling party and the collection of the opposition parties on a range of issues that are just refusing to go away. But towards the end of the year, there seemed to be convergence again, where it looks like the chief whip and the whips of the opposition parties have found common agenda beyond the partisan agenda. One example being the case of the SABC, where they seem to find common cause to try and rectify the situation and make the SABC to account. So you do have instances of, that nature. And in some instances, the FICA bill, for example,
yes,
there seem to be convergence and agreement taken to the president, but now the executive has brought it back to Parliament. But in the main, the standoff between the ruling party and the opposition has made sure that very little is achieved.
Wandile, you are in Mpumalanga.
Yes, I'm at Mpumalanga.
Welcome to the show.
Petratif.
Oh, okay, Petratif, welcome.
Yes, my problem is I believe that all the political parties are voted by people, and the conduct at which EFF are conducting themselves. Then I'm wondering with the guys at the studio that there is no any other way they can set a discipline. Because, for an example, if it's a question time for the president and the EFF decide to go out or they embarrass the president, it end up not delivering the questions or the answers are meant to say.
Yes.
Then the people who, because the EFF they're in there, there are people behind them need to know some of the things from the president specifically. So if they conduct themselves in the manner they do conduct, there is no any other way they can deal with that particular issue of the discipline.
Okay. Wandile, thank you very much. You raised earlier the state of capture report.
Well, the state of capture report, well, there are many things which are controversial. And the way that it was actually sort of rushed through, and the way that basically caveats have been put in. Some of those caveats, basically, they are on the gray area. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the president has got a right to say that, I mean, for example, the appointment of a commission. I mean, to say that what powers does the public protector have to actually sort of put in a commission? Whereas that in the Constitution, it's actually said that it's the president's prerogative. Yeah, but then again, it's a very important report, but I believe that it was rushed, and I think people should it should actually sort of be given a time to actually sort of unravel itself.
Okay, Gift, you're in East London. Welcome.
Yes, how are you, Mpo?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, my brother.
I'm fine, Mpo. Mpo, just a little thing, man. You know what?
Yep.
I think some people. I'm not the member of the EFF.
Yes.
But I think some people they've got a problem with the EFF. We must ask our questions. Each and every time EFF goes to court, they win their cases. You understand? And
yes.
Now people they are starting to raising some of, for instance, the disciplinary things about the EFF. We must ask ourselves why EFF they always win in their cases in the court. You understand?
Okay.
I just want to raise that point. You understand? We can see whatever EFF that is doing in Parliament. I'm not saying they are right or they are wrong, but we must ask ourselves why they always win their cases in the court. You understand? Before we judge them. You understand? I'm not the member of the EFF, but we must ask that question. Thank you,
Do you have an answer, Gift?
Sorry?
Do you have an answer?
No, I don't have an answer. Maybe the experts, they can tell us.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks. And I'll also give that to Dr. Figen.
Okay. No, I mean, the EFF are right. I mean, those boys are learned. I mean, people took them for just street boys, but they're not street boys. You know, they know the law. They've got people who know the law who are behind them, and they look at issues. And in fact, they've actually sort of elevated the level of debate in Parliament. And not only that, the rules and laws. I mean, to say what the EFF is doing is something very good. I mean, they should, it should also extend out of Parliament. It should actually come into the public sphere. Okay. We've got to interrogate issues, and lots of issues need to be interrogated.
Dr. Figani, why is the EFF winning cases?
Well, I think it is because out of their frustration, they have been quite diligent in reading the rule books, knowing that they don't have the numbers. But on technical terms, they seem to have won the first round, in essence, because they would push the boundary, but they would make sure that the ruling party, which initially relied mainly on numbers, would be angered enough to do things which were beyond the law, and to do things according to tradition, even in areas where the law is not clear. Mm-hmm. But also, the ruling party seemed to have spent more time and deployed more resources trying to protect, defend the president, instead of trying to hold him to account even in other subtle, modest ways. So that in itself, I think, has united the opposition parties, and they have been able to punch holes, more so because some of the times the questions they raise are very direct, but the answers they get are generally opaque or vague, okay, in that sense. So that becomes their recourse to go to court and win. And that has restored and redeemed some dignity to people who had simply dismissed them as just the rebel rousers who were out to embarrass the president, who were uncontrollable, but that they were winning the cases seemed to have become a political capital to them, notwithstanding every other thing that was raised about the discipline.
Charles, you are in the Free State. Charles?
My point is that in the SOEs,
yes,
the government are appointing the people whom they know that they don't qualify for the positions. That's why we see today the SOEs are working so deeply in depth and so are being dismissed too much. Because the government are using the people whom they know they're not qualified for the positions. That's my point.
Which ones, Charlie? Let's give us examples.
Example for instance, for post office.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I see. All right. Thanks very much, there, Charles, raising the issue around the state-owned enterprises. Before I come to you, let me just go to Dr. Figeni. The FICA bill seems to be delaying. What do you think, Dr. Figeni?
Well, I do think that there might just be a point on those who are raising issues in the FICA bill, but at the same time, it has landed, the delay itself and the non-action on it has landed itself into all kinds of interpretations, including different conspiracy theories about why this was not done. And it coincided with a time when the issue of the state capture and the specific influence of the Gupta family was hogging headlines. And some were beginning to say perhaps the effecting of this FICA bill would impact on those close enough to the president. And it also comes at the time when some are raising questions about the collusion among the banks to say that once you effect this bill, it might be used by the big monopoly capital or the corporates to punish those emerging black businesses. But it's rather unfortunate that all these things are mixed up and they seem to be raised at the time when you have all these suspicions, which rather weakens any principled approach or analysis to the reasons why it has been delayed.
Well, that's the truth. I mean to say that there are a lot of conspiracy theories around the bill. And to actually analyze a bill, you've actually got to know what it will do once it is put into action. And I think we have not had a very good analysis of what the bill really is geared to do, what it's geared to achieve, and who it's going to affect. And instead, we get a lot of conspiracies, theories saying that this bill is there to safeguard so-and-so and the other person. I think as a public, we just hear the FICA bill, but we really do not know how it really works. And I think the media there did not play a very good job. Yeah.
So what do you expect in the coming years? It's the year of the conference.
Well, it's the year of the conference. I mean to say, well, the result is already known, what's ever going to happen. The year of the conference, basically the ruling party has got to get itself in order.
Okay.
People have got to be, people should be able to talk truth to power. That's the thing that is lacking within the ruling party. And without that, I think the ruling party is bound to lose. Because basically the people on the outskirts, people like me and others in the streets, you know, when you look in, we say that these guys are not serious, they're taking us to be fools. So that's, I'm not saying that is so, but they've got to be very careful. Okay. That's the interpretation that people will come up with.
All right, thank you very much for the time. Unfortunately, we have indeed run out of time for today, but that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and you for watching the show. From me and the crew, Hi Vechot.
Whether you're looking for a restaurant, public transport or a university, a lot of us use our smartphone apps to find the closest one. On Network, we chat to those who play a role in Africa's tech space.
We have taken financial services closer to the people. Yeah, mobile penetration is pretty high.
Apple take 30%, keep 70%.
On Network, we give you Africa's social media and technology news. That's Network with Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time.
A meteorite hit the Earth 2 million years ago, creating an enormous impact of crater, about 10 kilometers in diameter near Vredefort in the Free State, 100 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg, now known as the Vredefort Dome, a South African World Heritage Site. The meteorite is said to have been larger than Table Mountain and caused a 1,000 megaton blast of energy. The impact would have heated about 70 cubic kilometers of rock and have increased the Earth's oxygen levels to a degree that made the development of multicellular life possible. The world has about 130 crater structures of possible impact origin. The Vredefort Dome is the largest in the world, followed by Sudbury Crater in Canada and the Chicxulub Crater in Mexico. The fossil hominid site at Sterkfontein Caves, known as Cradle of Humankind, were declared a World Heritage Site on the 2nd of December 1999. The Cradle of Humankind covers an area of over 47,000 hectares of privately owned land northwest of Johannesburg. Most of the site is on dolomite, a rock type which is slightly soluble in water. There are currently over 200 caves on the site and 13 fossil sites. We know that Australopithecus africanus were present in the cradle from about 2 to 4 million years ago. It is generally known that hominids are close relatives of human ancestors. A meteorite hit the Earth 2 million years ago, creating an enormous impact of crater, about 10 kilometers in diameter near Vredefort in the Free State, 100 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg, now known as the Vredefort Dome, a South African World Heritage Site. The meteorite is said to have been larger than Table Mountain and caused a 1,000 megaton blast of energy. The impact would have heated about 70 cubic kilometers of rock and have increased the Earth's oxygen levels to a degree that made the development of multicellular life possible. The world has about 130 crater structures of possible impact origin. The Vredefort Dome is the largest in the world, followed by Sudbury Crater in Canada and the Chicxulub Crater in Mexico. Did you know that hippopotamus are susceptible to sunburn and spend most of their sunny days with only their noses out of the water whilst the rest of their body is immersed in water? Their noses have special flaps that close when submerged and can stay underwater for 25 minutes. The hippopotamus is the third largest living land mammal after the elephant and the white rhino. The hippo is 13 feet long and up to 5 feet tall, and the female weighs up to 655 kilograms. The hippopotamus is a grazer, eats up to 40 kilograms of grass at night, and it has a life expectancy of only 50 years.
It's 6 o'clock Central African Time. You're watching SABC News Prime Time, coming to you live from Johannesburg. I'm Vabakshni Chetty-Miller.
And I'm Peter Ndoro. Thanks for joining us wherever you may be watching from across the continent. These are tonight's top stories.
A day of drama as the SABC walks out of the ad hoc parliamentary committee inquiry into the public broadcaster. This after its request to have the presentations made available in Braille was unanimously denied.
A community north of Pretoria is in shock following the brazen killing of a policeman and his family.
And SuperSport United confident they will find their way to gold when the Telkom knockout kicks off against Cape Town City this weekend.
Well, in that top story this hour, the parliamentary inquiry into the SABC board went ahead this afternoon after a walkout by the SABC delegation earlier. This in protest over the alleged violation of the board chairperson Mulaheni Mahuve's constitutional rights by the ad hoc committee.
This afternoon, the public protector took questions from MPs. Busisiwe Mkwebane says the SABC defied remedial action considering the matter has taken 25 months.